Hello, so a little bit of a different start today, but honestly I look a little rough and I've just rearranged and tidied my beauty room and I just really don't have the energy to like fully get dressed up, so we're starting with hands. Today is finally the long awaited one and done eyeshadow video. I actually have already filmed this and I wasn't fully happy with the way that I filmed it, so I asked you guys for some suggestions and I've taken those suggestions and here we go. This is the one and done eyeshadow video. Now this isn't going to be single eyeshadows. I'm actually starting to kind of create a little collection of single eyeshadows and single cream eyeshadows because that is something that's been of interest to me lately. So I'm going to save that for later on in the year when I have more of those products and have more fully formed thoughts. This is a one and done eyeshadow video for eyeshadow palettes that majority of us are probably going to have in our collection, or at the very least have an eyeshadow palette that's very similar to these in our collection. Hopefully this sounds interesting to you, and if it does, let's go ahead and do the YouTubey things. I don't know if that's what she said kind of movement, but anyway, let's do the YouTubey things and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're like 500 subs to 6K already, and that like actually blows my mind. So thank you to every single one of you that support my channel, and let's get into it. When I asked you guys for suggestions on how you would like to see this video, I was blown away because you guys have the most brilliant ideas. So always give me your video ideas in the comments because I take a lot of them, honestly. You guys are way smarter than I am. But a lot of you said maybe like my top 10 one and done shadows, which I sat down and very quickly surpassed that. A couple of you said seasonal. Most of you said you wanted it swatch party style, which is great because that's how I wanted to film it. So what I've done is I've actually picked out 10 eyeshadow palettes, or it's just a little bit over, but it's either like clumped by brand and I've kind of counted that as one. But it's mainly like, I think, actually let me count. So I have 14 physical palettes to show you guys, but 3 of them is like the same brand and family, and then another one is like similar, it's like same but different to another palette, and I think most people either have one or all, so I wanted to show you. I'm really hoping that this is helpful and interesting to you guys. A lot of you just said you wanted ideas on like kind of what shadows you could just put on your eye and then also how to complement them. So I'll talk you guys through that and kind of I'll talk you through my thought process around what I look for, all that jazz. It's not really that technical, I'll be honest. Without further ado, let's just crack on into it. Let's start with the main brands, which is Pat McGrath and then obviously Natasha Denona. And the reason why I'm kind of really honed in on those 2 brands is because I do feel like a lot of people have their palettes, especially on my channel specifically, because majority of you and the majority of the time I get a lot of subscribers is when I post about Pat or Natasha. So let's get stuck into Pat first. Now I don't want to go through every single one of her palettes. We'll just be here for literally years and years and years. So I've actually picked 3 Mothership palettes that I think, well, one of them I don't think all of you will own, but I wanted to showcase it in case you do own it and you kind of finding that you're not getting a lot of use out of it, and the other two I think a lot of people will own, but also I picked 3 that genuinely I go to for one and dones more so than the others. And then I also have the Bridgerton Diamond of the First Water palette, because this palette really is a lot of one and dones in here, and I wanted to showcase that in case it was intimidating you recolor wise. So let's actually start with the Motherships. Now the Motherships that I picked was Subliminal. I might need to zoom on out a little bit so we can fit it on the screen. Subliminal, Divine Rose 1, and also Decadence. And the reason why I picked Decadence was because if you do own this, you might find that, you know, you're like, oh, I don't have any mattes to go with this, or I don't know. I just felt like Decadence deserved a little moment because there's a couple of shadows in here that make really good one and dones, and I wanted to showcase it just in case. Now let's start with Subliminal. Subliminal is a brilliant palette. Obviously you do need to enjoy cool tones if you are going to either look at picking this palette up or look at it as using it, period, because it is a cool tone eyeshadow palette. Definitely one of my all-time faves in the Mothership collection. I know it's a lot of your faves. I do actually need to caveat, one and done shadows are such a preference-based thing, and the reason why I say that is me, for example, I really pick a lot of the time, like I will say 99.9 99% of the time, the one and done shadow that I will go for is a matte shadow. And the reason for that is I have very hooded eyes, and my eyes honestly don't even look as hooded as they are in real life on camera because of the camera angle. You know, we kind of have a downward facing camera angle for the angles and the flattering. But if you see me in real life, I have quite hooded eyes, and because of that, I do find, not always, I mean, there's no rules, it's literally just what you prefer, and for me, my preference is mattes because I find with a matte, my eyes don't look as hooded and it kind of doesn't look as heavy on the face. Now, you might not have hooded eyes, or you might not give a damn, which is great, and you might just love a metallic and a shimmer and a sparkle, which is, again, you go Glen Coco. So you'll notice that a lot of the time when I'm saying, oh, this is a shadow that I use a hell of a lot as a one and done, you'll notice that 9 times out of 10 it's a matte, but I'm going to show you some metallics that I personally love to use even with my hooded eyes, and also just some metallics that I think are really good. But I know a lot of you like to use metallics as one and dones, and if that is you, sound off in the comments down below and give your fellow one and done metallic shadow loving friends some ideas, because you guys usually have better ideas than even I do. So hit it in the comments, my friends. P.S. I've noticed you guys are starting to like chat to each other in the comments, and you have no idea, it like makes my heart sing. It makes my heart sing, because all I want here is just a community of makeup lovers that just want to like talk and love about makeup together, and it's just, yeah. Anyway, side note. Obviously, the one that I've hit pan on, obviously. This is such a good one and done, and 9 times out of 10 I'll either go for this kind of taupey shade, like this kind of cool tone. Why am I losing all of my words? I'll go for this kind of cool tone transition-y type shade 9 times out of 10, because this just looks so wonderful. And I'm not going to do just a straight swatch. I'm actually going to blend it out, because that's what it's going to look like on your eyes, so that you can kind of see. Now, this is the kind of transition shade, or this is the kind of one and done shade, I should say, that is brilliant for those of you that are looking to incorporate more of your bold lips into your everyday makeup looks. So I love putting this Subliminal shade all over my lid and then going in with like a red lip, for example, because this kind of cool tony brown complements most red lips so perfectly that it makes your look so sophisticated and classic and put together, and it is so simple and seamless. The other thing about Pat's matte eyeshadows in particular, and from any palette, is that you can really sheer these out or build them up with this same exact matte shade, and it will create like a different eye look. So for example, you could do a light wash of color with any of her matte shades over the lid, and then go in with a smaller, denser brush with slightly more pigment and build it up, say through the crease or the outer corner, and it will create like a whole heap of dimension on the eye using the same one shadow. Now, I tend to steer away from darker mattes as one and dones for the everyday. If I was going to say use this as a one and done, this is the darker matte in here, I would still run this through the crease, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier, especially for my hooded eyes. But if you have a deep dark skin tone, then this shadow right here is going to be a very beautiful one and done matte for you. So just keep in mind, this is all based on skin tones as well. And obviously I'm quite pale. I'm like the color of this desk. So most of the time my one and done shadows are going to be quite pale. But if you are a medium to a deep dark or deep skin tone color, then these kind of darker mattes are going to be like gorgeous for you. These two metallics right here in the Subliminal palette don't get the love that they deserve at all, because they're not super wowing, right? Like you look at that and you're like, okay, cool story, teens. But blended out on the eyes, particularly in a one and done fashion, this is where these shadows shine. Now again, this might be a little bit too dark for me on the everyday, unless I'm going for like that Hannah Louise Poston angry eyes look that she's doing right now, which I love. Then it's probably not for me on the everyday. But again, deep to deep dark, ooh, you guys, this would look absolutely gorgeous. But this one as well, so pretty. Look at how easily that blends out. And the reason is this isn't a full-blown metallic either. It's kind of more of a satiny type finish. And when you have those satin type finish metallics, maybe they don't kind of wham bam like amaze you on the everyday when you apply it like how I normally do eyeshadow, but a satin metallic should never be overlooked, specifically for one and done looks, because it really does have that almost matte base to it, and then that beautiful sheen, and it can kind of create that wet look on the eye without any creasing. Look, Look, imagine this with like a 90s lip or a deep brown lip. With Pat Special shades, you can one and done these on the lid, and sometimes I do. And I like to put this one on because, I mean, I've got a wet hand from just wiping that other shadow off. Sorry, I probably should have dried it. But you can see that just by like popping this on the lid, maybe you popped down an eye primer and you do have that kind of wet base. Look at that. See how that's such a wet look? So if you had hooded eyes and you wanted that really editorial glossy eye, you could put down like that kind of slick base or really wet your brush and pop this shadow all over the lid, and you've got that glossy eye look that's in those fashion magazines. You can pretend like you're in Vogue. But if you have hooded eyes like me, my friend, or even if you just don't want the mess of like a glaze on your eye, then this is going to create that look without any of the fuss. Let's move on to Decadence, because Decadence is so underrated, and I know, she's expensive for no special shades. I do get it. I was there with you. But if you can get this on a sale, and a good sale, like, it's so good, it's underrated. I like this shade. And this shade, these two are my favorites as one and dones in this palette. Look at them together. Oh, like seriously, gorgeous. And again, these are kind of, I mean, these are a really good metallic, but you can really blend them out to be that wet look one and done, and it has that slight matte base to it. So it is gonna, see how that's gonna blend out to be really beautiful on the eye as a one and done. And again, that even with a really deep vampy lip in winter, gorgeous. Or even just, you could pop a really nude glossy lip on and like really kind of highlight your cheekbones. Amazing. Like that would just look so, so beautiful. And then this kind of peachy metallic is really underrated, I think. It's such a nice kind of beautiful pinky, salmony, peachy kind of shade, and it really is something special. I'm trying to show as best I can, hopefully it's coming out, but see how cool they look on the eyes, and see how they kind of blend out. They do kind of sheer out quite well as a one and done, and you can definitely pop these through the crease. And again, same with the metallics, you can really build these up to create dimension as well on the lid, but you know, you could honestly just pick this up with your finger and throw it on your lid. They're the two shades, my personal favorite, that I do as one and dones over the lid for Decadence. Again, if you have deeper skin tone than me, you would probably really like these two right here, or really any color that you just wish, that your heart's desire, but on deeper skin tones, these two specifically. Or if you're someone that really does like that angry eyes editorial look, this one all over the lid would look freaking awesome. And then we have beautiful little Divine Rose 1. I love Divine Rose 1. I always thought that Divine Rose 2 would be my favorite, but honestly Divine Rose 1 is my favorite. I just really love this palette, and if you've been around here a while, you know it's because I love these smoky cool tone purples on my lids, on like my skin tone. It just really suits me. So naturally, obviously this matte in specific in this palette is definitely my go-to one and done. Oh, it crumbled everywhere because I pressed too hard, but it just looks gorgeous on the lid. It kind of creates this really soft, ever so soft, cool tone gray-ish type purple, and I know that a lot of you hate it, but I have kind of these cool tone purple lipsticks, and I pair them with this, and it looks so good. And so many of you, anytime I do it on the channel, you guys are like, oh my god, I would look dead in that lipstick. But this with that kind of purple, muted purple lip is really, really awesome. But I love this as a cool tone. Even this with like a red lip would look really, really cool. Really cool. You can't go past this palette without picking up this beautiful little cool tone purple metallic. This reminds me so much of Lucky Penny from Makeup Geek, which was my all-time original OG favorite one and done shadow. I wore it for a year straight, and I always got commented on it when I wore it to work, always. And this is exactly like it. And this all over the lid, amazing. Any color lip, a nude lip, a red lip, a gloss, whatever, it's just perfect, especially if you kind of have a cool tone like mine. It really just blends out so well on the lid, and even with my hooded eyes, it doesn't make them look heavier or anything. It just gives me this like really nice sultry look. I love this shade as a one and done. You also can't, like on a deeper skin tone especially, and I say deeper, obviously if you're pale too like me, you can totally wear these. I just don't gravitate towards super grungy looks on the everyday is all, so that's why I say that. But like on a deeper skin tone, this bronze would look Really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. See that? Oof. Even on actually on my skin tone, gorgeous. Really gorgeous. Really good for fall. Really good. I really like to whip out the one and dones when I want to do those bold lips. Like I think I've already said that in the video. I really like one and dones for a bold lip because it keeps the eye look really pretty and simple and classic and chic, but it really allows the lips to kind of stand out and shine. Now you also have these two beautiful ones which you could absolutely do as a one and done, but I really also like Astral Solstice as that tap. So if I was to use Astral Solstice, I would tap it slightly on the lid and see that how it's going to create that really, really soft, again, that editorial glossy eye look that if you have hooded eyes is an absolute nightmare, and it just creates that without any of the fuss and adds that extra little something something, especially if you're going somewhere and you want to wear minimal, like at night for example, and you want to keep it really minimal, or you really do want the focus to be on the lips or something else on the face, and you just tap this over the lid, and then it just, when the light hits it, it's like, what does she have on her eyes? Is that pure magic? Yes, yes it is. With any of the Motherships, most of the Motherships will have one and done shadows. Most of the mattes can be made one and dones. Make it easier on yourself. So kind of think transition shade or the second transition shade. That's going to be really easy for you guys to kind of put on the lid and blend out fuss free, because the name of the game of a one and done as well is to make it really easy and simple. So if you were my color and you're going with something really dark on the lid, you're gonna have to blend it out. It's not just gonna naturally, seamlessly kind of fade into your skin tone. Whereas like I could put this on, pack it on the lid and just very softly do a quick 1-2 with a blending brush in through the crease. And because it's quite similar to my skin tone, or like not too far off, in terms of like the deepness in the shade, it's gonna fade naturally and I'm not gonna have to put too much effort into it. So that's why I say just be mindful, like unless you're going for that angry grungy eye look, you just wanna make sure that you're picking a one and done that's not too far off in terms of like the deep range from your skin tone, because it's just gonna make it easier to blend out. Now Bridgerton Diamond of the First Water, and the reason why I'm choosing Bridgerton Diamond of the First Water and not Belle of the Ball is I actually think the one and dones in here are better. I think Belle of the Ball is a really good accompaniment palette, or you can create looks within that palette. But I think this one you can really create any one and done looks here. This matte right here, again, really beautiful matte as a one and done, even though it's quite dark, even on my skin tone. I'd have to blend it out a little bit more, but gorgeous. Really pretty, and it looks a little bit patchy. It's not the matte, it's just because I've been like wiping my hands a bit aggravated after doing so many swatches now. But that's a really pretty one. This shadow is pretty much the same as the one in Divine Rose 1. And again, this looks really, very Lucky Penny vibes. Very, very beautiful as a one and done on the lid. Love. These two matte satin mattes, and again, satin matte, if you have a satin matte formula, they're perfect for one and dones. Like literally perfect one and dones. They're almost like a creamy, like kind of formula. They're going to blend out perfectly. They're going to have a nice little pearly sheen to them. You can't ask for a better formula for a one and done than a satin matte. And if you're a pink gal and you like these two tones in the Pat McGrath Diamond of the First Water palettes, these are the best one and done shadows out of all of Pat's, in my personal opinion, obviously, because this formula is made for it. And then you obviously have this one here, which you can tap over the lid and create a very soft kind of glistening, bluey, like wet look eye. So that is Diamond of the First Water. Let's go ahead and move on to Natasha Denona. Now, actually my favorite palette from Natasha Denona for one and dones is the Retro palette. Color preferences need to be taken into account here. Obviously, you've already heard that I love those kinds of cool tony purples. My all-time favorite shade for a one and done in here is Andy right here. This cream to powder formula, and actually Natasha's cream to powder formula, very similar to those Pat McGrath satin mattes, made for a one and done. Made. They're just perfect. And this is just the most perfect cool tone type purple, and because it is that cream to powder formula, it's not going to crease or anything. Blends out softly, seamlessly. Camera's not even doing this color justice. It's really, really perfect. That's my favorite one. I also love Go-Go here. Same thing, cream to powder formula, and just meant it was born to be a one and done. Look at that. That with like the new Lisa Eldridge like Sunday Matinee or Petal. Yes, please. I might switch to here for a bit so that my hand can get a rest. We're turning pink. Now you also have a couple of metallics in here, like this one right here, Patty. She would make a very pretty one and done, and Helio. So this is Helio right here. I don't know why I just did that on the back of my hand. I said I was going to switch to my under here, but anyway. So that's Helio. And then here we have Patty. Very similar tones, right? And that one's very similar to Decadence. So if you liked that shade in Decadence, then you'll like that Go-Go shade. And you have, sorry, Patty. If you have Retro, you'll like that. So very, very pretty. Sometimes I actually like to take Rebellion here because it's a cream to powder shadow, and even though it's quite dark, I like to pack this on all over the lid because sometimes I just really love a deep cranberry eye with a clear gloss. It's so lovely to have a deep cranberry eye with a clear gloss. So yeah. And then you could also put Jude. Literally, you could pick any shadow, you guys. You can pick any shadow as a one and done. Nude Mauve would actually be a color that I would go to a lot as a one and done, just because this as a one and done all over the lid would be really, really fuss-free and simple to like blend out. It's quite similar to that Subliminal shade almost. Like that would just look very, very pretty on the lid. For my warm tone friends, gosh, look how dirty my palettes are. I want to say I'll clean them, but I won't. For my warm tone friends, Bronze Seduction. This one right here, Sundown and Ridge. Oh, these are cool. I love a good mustard matte. Look at that. I feel like I've done a terrible job. I'm gonna go back to here even though that's like, you know, it's easier. Look, all over the lid, pumpkin season, you got it. That's stunning, right? I love that all over the lid. And then this one is Ridge. I just love me a mustard shade. You guys know I love a mustard shade. All over the lid. Nude lip, fall vibes, you got it. Look. Incredible. And then obviously, is this Beach? Yeah, Beach. Really nice as a one and done as well. A lot more softer. Very, very fuss free. One of those ones that you could just even pack on with your finger really if you're a similar skin tone to me. If you're a medium skin tone, satin here. Or not satin, suntan, sorry. Really nice. Even like I would put this on in winter as well and wear like a really deep brown lip or a red lip as well. So pretty. I know these aren't the greatest swatches, but I'm just trying to show you what they look like blended out. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. This one, if you have a deep skin tone too, Magma, so, so pretty. Now it's just gonna depend on your preference if you want to use her metallics as one and dones. I just find her metallics are a little bit too blinding for me, but absolutely if you're someone that really likes metallics as a one and done, then again, any of these are gonna look really, really pretty, but these two in specific, which was Silk and Palladium. Real pretty as one and dones, especially if you love a metallic formula, because they're going to be very easy to kind of like blend out and pack on. Biba, brilliant one and done palette. Nearly every single one of these shades can be used as a one and done, especially because there's quite a few cream to powders like this one here, which is Tone. I love this as a one and done. I quite often will wear this as a one and done. Look at that. Amazing one and done, like truly amazing. And then also Freckle, sorry. Perfect one and done. Then Prairie, we know I love mustards. Three, brilliant. You could just these would be so easy to just throw on in the morning and go. Like truly, just very, very simple, easy one and done shadows. If you want the barest of bare eyeshadow on the lid, but you just want something to add a slight contour, then this one, Tusk, really good for that. because you can barely see it, but it will just give you a slight bit of dimension. And then if you want like a really grungy eye, but you don't want it to be black, you want this one right here, which is Tor, and it's gonna add this really cool gray. And it will blend out quite well and easy, even though it's quite dark, because it is a cream to powder formula. See that? It will just add this kind of like deep gray, angry eye almost. Let's move on to some color. So I have the Pastel palette and also Triochrome, because some of you might have this and be intimidated by it. And actually one and done shadows are my favorite ways to wear color in real life, because sometimes I might create a really colorful look on YouTube, but honestly, I don't know if I'd always leave the house, but as one and dones, I would. So for example, this shade right here, Bubble, in the Pastel palette, and also Zest. These two shades were actually the reason why I picked up this palette, because I actually was like, I love the shades, and these being one and dones on the lid, I would actually wear in real life, because they're the kind of shade that in summer or spring will just look really soft, like pastel colory on the eyes, and will just look really, really pretty, and even like pops of color without being too out there and without you potentially feeling, you know, like a clown. Now, just because you wear colored makeup, if you do, that does not mean you're a clown at all. At all. It's all about how you feel. I also really like this minty color and this tulle color. Very pretty as one and dones. The mint color, you do need to make sure you put down quite a base, because it is quite hard, but it's really pretty, as I love a mint as a one and done. Just very fresh, very summery, very fresh. Triochrome, exact same kind of thing. Apart from these middle shades, I wouldn't wear them as one and dones, and I probably wouldn't wear Scrap as a one and done either, but every single other shade in the Triochrome palette, the best one and dones. Like every single one of these mattes would look so good as one and dones, and really, really a good way to just wear some color with it being really quite wearable, because you can just use these pastels. Like imagine just that, just over your lid. You can barely see it, but it will just add this real little pop of purple on the lid with just a gloss or a nude lip. Like so wearable and pretty. These two are very wearable shades. Actually, this Gourmand shade, sorry, I really like this as a one and done. It's kind of like this quite unique-y type brown, and it looks so pretty on the lid. And then obviously you have another mint in here, and then you have these kind of like, oh, what are they, vomity greens, I guess? Acidy type greens, and like that looks so cool on the lid just on its own. Imagine like that with like a brown wing or brown liner smudged across the top lash line. So cool. Just because you wear a one and done shadow doesn't mean that you're toning down the rest of your makeup. You might pick a one and done shadow and then put like a winged liner on, or a graphic liner on, or smudge some liner across the lash line. Or like I said, go for a bold lip, go for a bold cheek, that kind of a thing. So you want to find colors that kind of complement it. I'm always partial to a monochromatic look, which I feel like you guys know. A palette that I always say is so underrated but is full of one and dones is the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette. Pretty much, well, if you're my skin tone, this whole row and these two shadows right here, exceptional one and dones. Deeper skin tones are going to be able to tap into these as well. I wear this Milk Tea shadow and this Tease shadow right here that often as one and dones. Like I really do. I love a mustard, as you know. Very similar, if you have bronze, you have that. And then this purple shade right here is pretty much like the same one in Divine Rose, to be fair. But I just love them. I love both of those shadows as one and dones, because I can wear pretty much like a red lip, a nude lip. I can wear nearly any lip I want with them, and they're just so pretty, so smooth, so buttery, so blendable. Any of these shades, again, gonna look so good. I know that this isn't like a one and done thing, but a lot of the time I'll wear that purple Milk Tea shadow and I'll pick up a little bit of Sam here, which look at that. And I'll tap it or like blend it out over the top. And it looks so good together. That's just a side note. I love this whole palette. It's so good for one and dones. So good for one and dones, the whole thing. The Viseart Cashmere palette has a really good selection of mattes as one and dones, but also metallics, because their metallic is more of like a satin type formula. So I really like to put this brown right here and this purple as one and dones. This purple's a little bit more grungy, so I do use this when I'm feeling a little bit more risque, because I'm not quite grungy on the everyday, but this brown is really gorgeous on the everyday, and they look quite dark here, swatched out, but they're actually a lot lighter on the eyes even. But I really like those in wintertime especially. There's some really cool shadows in that more fall time. They're metallics here, like this shadow right here and this shadow right here specifically, and this purple even. These are really, really good one and dones. So they just blend out really like a satin shadow. So I don't know. See, this one specifically, this one right here is this one. Brilliant one and done. Look at that. This is there's a shade quite similar to this in NARS Climax as well, if you have that. See that? They just look really good as one and dones. Like, they're shiny, but they're not too shiny, especially for those of you with hooded eyes. I really, really like this. This shadow as well, like all of them. Honestly, all of these over the lid as one and dones will look really good. The only two I probably, like me personally, would stay away from as one and dones is this one and this one, just because they're too dark for me. But the rest of these shadows I would put as one and dones. My last three, I'm counting these kind of as just one palette. So I counted the Pastel palette and the Triochrome palette as one palette, and then I'm counting these three as one palette, which is why it's my 10. Okay, so I cheated. But these are the Tom Ford quads. Now specifically, my all-time favorite is Tom Ford Rose Topaz, which is this one right here. Then next up is Smokey Quartz, and then the third one for one and dones out of Tom Ford's is Nude Dip. Now I love Rose Topaz. Now I'm going to try and get this as close as I can, but can you see the damage that has been inflicted on this? I've nearly hit pan on this shadow. This shadow right here, this one, this is my all-time favorite one and done shadow. You will, like, if you want to know what the favorite, it's this one. So the reason for that is this is a cream. So because it's a cream, it's like actually Natasha Denona's cream to powder formula, really. I wouldn't even go so far to say full cream. But there is just something about this tone. Now, this will definitely be 100% my skin tone preference based, but this shadow looks like it is nothing special, nothing special. But on my skin tone, on my lids, it makes every single makeup look I do look truly classic and just utterly chic. And every single lip color looks good with this shadow. So when I went to America recently, 9 times out of 10 on the days when I was like rushing to get out the door, I just threw this all over my lid. And that was it. And then I paired whatever lip I wanted with it. In my Lisa Eldridge video and my Chanel Complexion Touch review, they're both up on my channel already. I'm wearing this over the eye. It's honestly like this whole palette, worth every single cent in my opinion, just specifically for this shadow. I don't know what it is. I know you're looking at this going, you are the craziest person in the world telling me that a palette is worth it $135 for this pathetic shadow. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about this tone, but it is my all-time favorite and I can't stop using it. All of these other shadows, by the way, you can use this as a one and done, and this, probably not that. That's probably a bit far, unless you want that angry eye. But these can be used as one and dones as well. They're very pretty. Then we have Smokey Quartz, and I love this shadow specifically as a one and done in Smokey Quartz. It's my backup to the other shade in Rose Quartz. So this is when I want a deeper brown on the lids, but I still want it to be really flat. See, it's just a neutral brown. And I know it's something special, but I don't know. And because this formula, because it is that cream formula, it just goes on the lids so fuss-free, so easily, so pigmented. It stays all day. I don't know. I just think this cream formula from Tom Ford is so worth it. I really do. Now, I'm not going to tell you to run out and buy them. It's a ridiculous amount of money for 4 eyeshadows, but for me, I'd buy, like if I lost them tomorrow, I would buy those 2 quads instantly. I really would. they're my favorite. I love them so much. Also, the other shadows, like if you have a deeper skin tone, this is gonna look amazing on you, but this one is gonna look good pretty much on all skin tones as well. It's just, again, a deeper brown and will look good with most lips. Like, see that? Oh, it's so good. These shadows are so freaking good. I love this cream formula. And then Nude Dip's really good if you want those satin mattes, or not a satin matte, but like a satin metallic to put over the lid, and you like these kinds of cool tony, they're really romantic. I always think of Nude Dip as like a really romantic palette, and I quite often wear these as one and dones. I really do. And when I first got Nude Dip, it was like one of the first quads I got. I wore this non-stop, especially to work. I wear this a lot to work, where I'll literally throw one of these three all over the lid, and then I'll take this dark brown and just slightly pop it through the crease, and that's it, done. But I could also just use these as one and dones. I just, you know me, I like to be a little bit extra most of the time, but yeah. But these are perfect, like everyday, really subtle, one and done metallic shadows, like brilliant. I will say that Tom Ford is a lot of money, but if you are someone that wants fuss-free makeup and one and done shadows, his quads are where it's at, because I feel like his quads, apart from like the really dark shades in them, depending on your skin tone again, like his quads are really built for those like one and dones. If you guys have been here for a while, you know that I always went on about how much I didn't like quads. But there is something about Tom Ford quads. They're just effortless, they're chic, and they're so everyday friendly. And again, don't take this as me being like, go out and buy all these Tom Ford quads, because they're super expensive. But if you can afford them and you love luxury makeup, oh God, I recommend them. I really do. Now, not all of them. I am slowly making my way through them. I know that there is some formulas that are not great, but so far, like thank to the Lords, I haven't met a Tom Ford quad that I don't enjoy. All right, my friends, that is it. That is my top 10 one and done eyeshadow palettes. I have more, I really do, but I'm hoping that you got the gist of kind of what I look for and the formula I look for and how I use them. I'm hoping this has given you inspiration to go through your own eyeshadow palette collection and kind of look at the colors that entice you, look at the colors that are quite similar to your skin tone, or just ones that are going to bring you joy, and that it gives you a lot of ideas on how you can bring those palettes out and incorporate them into your everyday life. Again, if you have questions, let me know down below. I work full time, so you know it takes me a little bit to get back to my comments, but I do get back to them all. So if you have questions, let me know in the comments. But also, if you want to see a follow-up one and done with like, if a lot of you kind of have a same theme around what you're looking for that I have missed completely in this video, then I will absolutely film that. And then I am slowly adding cream and like pots and single shadows and all that jazz to my collection. So if you have any cream shadow suggestions, like actual cream shadow suggestions, let me know in the comments as well. But that will come later on in the year when I've kind of built up my collection on them and kind of have more thoughts around them. Right now I don't. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys and you got some inspiration. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I love chatting to you. If you're watching till this point, you're an absolute legend. I appreciate you so much. And if you haven't already, pretty please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. It truly helps my channel out. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Bye.